Good morning and welcome to the Global Webinar Series. Today, we will have a look at the situation of LGBT people in the Czech, Polish and Hungarian workplaces. My name is Czesław Walek. I am a Fulbright scholar, currently managing Out and Equal Global Initiatives Program, and I will be moderating today's discussion. Before we will turn to subject matter, let me just make a few announcements on behalf of Out and Equal. Today's session is part of Global Webinar Series with goal to introduce local knowledge and local experts on LGBT workplace equality that work in concrete countries that Out and Equal work with. Next, Global Webinar will be on Brazil on June 29th. Global Webinar Series is one of our activities of the Global Initiatives Program. The goal of the program is to advance equality of LGBT people in the workplaces around the world. Out and Equal currently works in 8 countries of the world: China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Colombia, Czech Republic, Spain, and Italy. Other activity that we undertake within the program is our ERG mapping of the ERGs around the world. We are currently conducting 2 online surveys. One is a community survey and another one is a global survey. So if you are head of ERG, please do fill in the first one, the community survey. If you are a global diversity and inclusion manager, please fill in the second, the global survey. Both surveys are on our website and with your answers would help us tremendously improving our work both on ERGs and the global work. Now, few invitations. Tomorrow is our town call at 12 p.m. You can have a chance to hear our fantastic panel on unconscious bias. You still can register. For those of you who are interested in trainings, next Tuesday we start train the trainers session. Please do check our website on the prerequisites of this training. And final invitation is to our summit, which is taking place this year on October 4th to 7th in Orlando, Florida. On October 4th, there is Global Leadership Day, which we are just now preparing, and the panel will be fantastic. Those of you who are interested in submitting the workshop proposal, the deadline is postponed till May 15th, so you still have a chance to do so. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me turn to subject matter of today's webinar. Countries of Eastern Europe joined the EU more than a decade ago, and when joining, they had to accept EU acquis communautaire, including the non-discrimination legislation. This means that no one can be fired from workplace because of his or her sexual orientation or gender identity. Despite this legal framework, however, across EU, the situation of LGBT people is quite different. The striking difference is particularly visible between western part of EU and eastern part of EU. It's enough to look at the surveys of the EU Fundamental Rights Agency or ILGA Europe to see this difference. I think the most visible and striking proof of this difference is the marriage equality, when 11 Western EU countries grant this freedom to LGBT people, whereas 7 Eastern European countries go in totally different directions. Now, taking the time frame and time restraints, we couldn't really speak about each and every country of Eastern Europe. That's why we chose 3 quite representative countries. Each of them has a different socioeconomic environment, different political environment, or also different attitudes of the general public towards LGBT people. I'm very happy that we can welcome the distinguished panel of experts from the Czech Republic, Poland, and Hungary. Now, this is an interactive webinar. You will be asked several polling questions, and I hope that you will participate in them. And also, in the second part, there is a Q&A session, so you will have a chance to ask questions, and our experts will answer them. The webinar is recorded, and after the session, I will send the recordings, including the presentations, to you. Now, let me start with the first polling question. Let us know whether you work with the companies that actually have a presence in the Czech Republic, whether maybe you have a branch there, or you work under the separate legal entity, or maybe you don't work in the Czech Republic. Now, around 40%, almost 35% of people who are joining our webinar do not work in the Czech Republic. Around 23% have a branch in the Czech Republic, and 13% operate in the Czech Republic under a different legal entity. Now, the second question is concretely about the diversity and inclusion strategy. Let us know if your company implements such a strategy in the Czech Republic. If so, maybe the global strategy is in effect, or you implement the local D&I strategy, which includes LGBT measures, or you are thinking maybe about the implementing such or adopting such a strategy in a near future. From your answers, around 40% implement the global DI strategy. Most of you do not know whether your companies actually do implement the strategies or not. What is encouraging that 11% of the companies that operate in the Czech Republic have a local strategy in place that includes LGBT measures. And the last question about Czech Republic is regarding the ERG. Do you have ERG in the Czech Republic? If so, is it independent ERG, or is it part of the regional or global one, or you don't know? The answer is that around 40% of you do not know that whether you have active ERG in the Czech Republic. 15% have active ERG in the European regions. Around 10% have active ERG in the Czech Republic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me turn to our first speaker. When we started to organize Pride Business Forum in Prague 5 years ago, around 80 people turned out, and most of them were asking, why do we organize the conference on such a topic? Because there is no problem. Last year, already 300 people turned up, and nobody was really questioning the topic of the conference. Our next speaker, Pavlína Kalausová, is one of the co-organizers of Pride Business Forum, and she is a champion on workplace diversity in the Czech Republic. Pavlína, please let us know what's going on in the Czech Republic with LGBT equality in the workplace. The floor is yours.
Hello to everybody from Prague. Can you hear me? Is the sound okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you some facts and figures about the background of diversity and LGBT diversity at workplace in the Czech Republic. Also, thank you for the answers for the questions at the very beginning, because it will be very interesting for me now to compare these answers with the situation that we can see, and actually that we researched also among the employers that operate on the Czech market. Actually, what we did, and I will share the facts and figures with you today. We did a quite representative survey among gays and lesbians at workplace, and at the same time, we compared these results with the results of the survey among the biggest employers on the Czech market. Of course, I will only mention some figures that you will find in the presentation, but you can go through the details after the call. In the next 3 slides, just brief information about my background. I represent the Umbrella Association for Responsible Sustainable Business and Diversity, and also we are a national coordinator for the Diversity Charter in the Czech Republic, which is a part of the European Charter's platform. And the Charter is a strategic document for employers across Europe for diversity and inclusion, which was already signed by 7,500 employers in the European Union. As the next slide, please, and the next one. As Czeslaw already mentioned, we co-organized the Pride Business Forum, and you had a chance to see the video before the call. We use the Pride Business Forum as the main tool to promote the agenda of the LGBT diversity. Because what we are now facing, and this will also be confirmed by the results of the surveys, we have quite a tolerant society towards LGBT people in the Czech Republic in general. However, at the workplace, from the workplace perspective, we are still facing rather passive approach, and we would like to turn this passive approach into an active or proactive approach. Next slide, please. So what we are actually, let me briefly walk you through the situation in the Czech Republic and the results of the surveys. Why we think that we need to concentrate on this issue. When you see that only 15% of LGBT people are completely out at the workplace, and 1/3 of them still prefer to hide their sexual orientation completely or partially on the workplace. Next one. Also, 20% of the gays and lesbians answered that they have experienced some kind of non-equal treatment in the workplace. And when you see the reasons or the situations that they have been facing, this is usually the impact on career, and I will talk about it briefly. These are also mainly, they feel excluded from group activities, especially the social events. And also, this is pretty common. They face challenges when talking about the business trips, when traveling to the business trips. We also asked them, next slide, if they think that being a gay or lesbian can have or has had some kind of impact on their career. And as you can see, 1/4 of them, 1/4 of them, think that the sexual orientation has or can have some kind of negative impact on their career. Next one. This is also connected with the atmosphere that we can see among the Czech workplace towards LGBT employees. That 1/3 of companies are, according to their employees, LGBT friendly, and the atmosphere is open. In the rest of the companies, it's still sort of unspoken and unopened. Next one. So we asked the gays and lesbians what is their view on their employers' performance on diversity in general. And the answer is that only 15% of companies support workplace diversity in some active way. And what was surprising to think that even 40% of employees were not sure if there was such a policy in the company that they worked for at all. So next one. So what we did, we also tried to mirror the situation with the situation at the big companies, and we asked the mostly HR managers, and if the company has a diversity manager, of course, he or she would be the one to answer. So 80% of these big companies have a diversity strategy or a D&I strategy as a part of the HR approach. But these mainly include other areas than LGBT. Next one. When you looked at the situation with the LGBT, only 10% of those 80% companies focus on LGBT issues, and they somehow proactively engage in this area. 50% of companies, on the other hand, see no opportunity nor a problem in LGBT and plan not to engage in the issue in the very near future. This is also very closely related to the fact that only 10% of the companies have and provide some kind of tailor-made benefits and support to the LGBT. And 30% of the HR managers were not able to answer the question if LGBT agenda is somehow integrated in their benefit structure. Next one, please. So, but on the other hand, we have to say that the atmosphere in general is perceived to be equal, open, and without any open signals of discriminatory behavior towards the LGBT employees. Next one. So the fact that the companies think that they have no problem to be solved supports the argument that there is still some kind of passive approach to the LGBT agenda. It is accepted, however, it is not proactively promoted. However, we do have some pioneers among companies that try to put this agenda onto the map of the diversity. I would mention just a few of them. One would be the Vodafone company, which was actually the pioneer to put the LGBT benefit structure into their HR policy, and now helps us to promote this kind of approach among other companies. The other would be definitely IBM. That is one of the leading companies in the LGBT diversity also on the Czech market. And not to forget others, we also can see an active approach of Accenture, Milberg, Brown, and Ogilvy. Last one, please. So just to sum up the brief walk through the situation, as I mentioned, actually, when you ask a regular person in the HR department, the answer would be, we see no problem, so why should we deal with it? It is also connected with the fact that when we try to promote the LGBT diversity at workplace, the basic argument is that the companies see no clear business case, which then leads to the fact that there is no priority to the issue as such. And also, the other aspect of it is that the governmental policy is just beginning to learn about anything like the LGBT at workplace. So what we are now working together with other partners under the Pride Business Forum umbrella. We opened a task force of companies that are actually active and are leading on the other employers. We are talking to the government about the equal treatment on workplace in terms of the benefits. We want to change the legislation. And we have a few pioneers who are among companies who are already doing it on a voluntary basis. And of course, we are trying to engage more and more companies to be active among the Pride Business Forum, but also among their workplace in terms of internal campaigns, fundraising, and also to become a part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavlina. This was very interesting and insightful to see how the companies are involved in LGBT workplace equality in the Czech Republic. I think what is symptomatic to whole region is that you can actually see that mainly multinational companies are active in this sphere. Not many genuine Czech companies are active, but I'm sure we will talk about it in the Q&A session. I can see that the questions are already piling up. Please do chat them in, and we will answer them in the second part of the seminar. Now, let us turn to some polling questions regarding the Hungary. They are very similar to the Czech questions, please let us know whether your company is present in Hungary, and if so, in what legal form it is present. Now, let's see, 16 companies have their branches in Hungary. 7 companies operate under the different legal entities. Many of you do not operate in Hungary. Another question is regarding diversity and inclusion strategy. Please let us know if your company does adopt and implement diversity and inclusion strategy, whether it's a global strategy or local strategy, and if so, how many of those strategies include concrete LGBT measures. Many of you implement the global strategy in Hungary. Few of you, around 5 of you, have a local DI strategy, and these strategies do include LGBT measures. Our last question is regarding the ERGs. Please let us know how many of you have a local LGBT ERG in Hungary, or maybe it's a part of the regional ERG. And it seems that the most of you, around 10, have a more regional approach, European LGBT ERG, but there are 9 of you who represent local Hungarian LGBT ERG. Thank you for these answers, and I will now turn to our next speaker, Gergely Horváth from GE Budapest office. He is a global testing analyst. Gergely established or co-founded the LGBT ERG in Budapest in Hungary in 2013, and he is also a co-lead of the Hungarian ERG in GE. So Gergely, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Czech. Thanks for everyone who joined us today. I will give you a short overview on LGBT situation in Hungary and then talk some words about our employee research group at GE and our activities in Hungary. Next slide, please. Traditionally, Hungary, and especially our capital, Budapest, used to be one of the most favorable towards LGBT people in the region. Last year, approximately 15,000 participants walked together in Budapest Pride March, showing support and solidarity towards the LGBT community. The legal framework regarding LGBT rights is quite progressive and affords the highest standard of legal protection in the region. Male-to-male sexual activity was decriminalized in 1961, while female-to-female sexual acts were never criminalized in Hungary. Same-sex partnerships have been recognized since 1996, and registered partnerships granting same-sex couples rights similar to those of spouses has been in place since 2009. Hungary has a comprehensive equal treatment legislation banning discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in many areas, including employment, education, health, and access to goods and services. Homophobic and transphobic hate speech and hate crimes are explicitly sanctioned by law. Transgender people have access to gender recognition without compulsory medical treatment. Despite of these favorable laws, there are some contradictions, as the new constitution, codified in 2011, defines marriage as a union between a woman and a man, which is basically a constitutional ban of same-sex marriage. Also, unfortunately, registered same-sex couples cannot adopt a child jointly. The Hungarian society is quite conservative, especially in the countryside. The general perception of LGBT people is like, I don't care what they do until they do it within the walls of their houses attitude. Because of this, majority of LGBT people stay closeted, and it's very common that even LGBT people think on the same way. However, the younger generation is much more open and tolerant towards LGBT topics as well. Next slide, please. After the general overview, let's see what is the situation in the workplaces. As I mentioned earlier, Hungary has strong anti-discrimination laws in place in the field of employment, and there is a so-called Equal Treatment Authority, which has proven to be quite efficient. However, vast majority of the society still thinks LGBT topic is not appropriate at work. Therefore, it's not surprising that a study carried out in 2012 showed that only 13% of respondents felt comfortable to come out at work. Despite of this, the Hungarian LGBT NGOs do not focus on LGBT at work topic, and it's quite rare to hear about this subject. But 3 years ago, 3 local companies started an initiative called We Are Open, which is a great example of corporate responsibility in the field of LGBT inclusion. Originally, these 3 companies planned to go to the Budapest Pride together under their company logos and invited others to join them. The initiative was so successful that in 3 years, the number of companies grew from 3 to 913, and the initiative organizes 2 free campaigns a year. Another good example is the growing number of LGBT employee resource groups, mainly in multinational companies. There are a massive presence of shared service centers in Hungary, especially in Budapest, which is a good opportunity as the big US corporations and local startups show the path to other companies. As there is a quite high competition for the talented workforce among these growing numbers of SSCs, the existence of different affinity networks within a company started to become a competitive advantage for the employers. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to speak to you about the work we do at GE for LGBT workplace inclusion. Our employee resource group is GLBTA Alliance. GLBTA stands for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and allies. From the name of the ERG, you can see that straight allies have a significant role in our alliance, as they can give us more credibility and visibility across the company. We do not distinguish between the members, so everyone can feel safe within the alliance. GLBTA was started in 2005 in the United States. Currently, we have more than 6,500 members across the globe, and half of the members are based outside of the US, and we have local hubs established in 25 countries. Our hub operates since 2013 in Hungary. We have around 90 members in various business units and functions. We organize different programs regularly and have good cross-company relations and cooperation with other multinationals. With our help, GE joined the We Are Open initiative in 2014, and last year we went together to the Budapest Pride March and GE and GLBTA logos proudly. Our next event will be a European GLBTA Summit in early May, where we will host around 100 alliance members from across Europe. Next slide, please. And finally, I would like to share some ideas with you on how to engage your company with LGBT workplace equality. First of all, make sure that your company has a clear diversity and inclusion policy in place targeting specifically LGBT people. Use the strength of straight allies. Cooperate with other companies and NGOs. If your business is based in Hungary, please join We Are Open and come to the next Budapest Pride using your logo. Finally, please see a nice example of ally engagement from GE Hungary. So in the following slides, you will see some posters which were made during our ally campaign event in 2014. These are 2 of our allies from Hungary. He's Agostino Renna. He was the CEO of GE Lighting EMEA, and she's Ilana Barca. She's the organization and talent development leader for GE Healthcare Europe. And in the end, let me show you a short video of our alliance. Thanks for the opportunity and thanks for your attention.
I pursued a job at GE for a number of reasons, including a place where I could be out in the workplace.
I grew up in Calcutta. Of course, I was not out when I was in India because when I was growing up, nobody even talked about sexuality. Nobody talked about what homosexuality means.
I had a lot of fears in coming out to my family and how it would impact them as well.
I imagine I was never in the closet. I have my domestic partner for almost 20 years now.
I met my husband Steve just over 8 years ago. Our families have been extremely supportive throughout our entire relationship, which has been very fortunate, a huge blessing for us.
Been with Deborah for 5.5 years, and hopefully we'll get married in the next year.
I cannot imagine preparing for my wedding if I wasn't out at work. Just like everybody, I wanted to celebrate my life.
When I first started at GE, I didn't really talk too much about my personal life, and I played what we call the pronoun game until one day my coworkers said to me that, you know, we kind of know that you're gay, and We think it's okay, so you shouldn't be afraid to be out yourself.
When you make the work environment more open and accepting for LGBT employees, they're much more productive because they're much more comfortable.
They don't have to think about something else also other than their work.
But once I started job hunting, I targeted GE as my next employer. Their support and inclusiveness was important to me as an employer of my choice.
A company that's open and give you freedom to work, and also, give you freedom to be who you are.
I think that I'm more empowered. I think I'm more confident in myself. I definitely saw those differences after I came out of the closet, especially being an executive, where I am much more visible than somebody who's not.
The GLBTA Alliance stands for the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender, and Straight Allies Alliance.
An ally is anybody who supports the GLBT community, but is potentially not a specific member.
It's for people who want to show support for diversity in GE in any way, shape, or form.
It creates an environment to have a dialogue.
A place that's conducive for the conversation or to ask questions or to learn more.
We do educational events, and we also have several different professional development events, recruiting events.
As a straight General Electric employee and as a human resources leader in GE, I'm proud to be an ally of GLBTA Alliance.
Today I live in New York with my significant other. I'm out at work, I'm out with my family.
My vision is, I think, outside of work, that I can, hold Deborah's hand in the street and not worry about it. And some of that's happening today, but not everywhere.
The instant I met Steve, I knew that he was someone exceptional. This is a shot of just after our parents had given us a toast.
This is the 21st century, and the strive for talent globally is important in any company, and certainly is paramount in GE.
For GE, at the end of the day, it's not about, if you're black or if you're white, if you're Latino, if you're gay, if you're lesbian. It isn't about that. It's about your ideas. We want people who think differently, and in order to do that, we have to be open to a diverse workforce.
Without diverse perspectives, GE couldn't be a leader in innovation.
Now, thank you, Gagi, for sharing this inspirational story and the example of best practice. I believe that many of our companies in the region can actually be inspired by the action of GE in Hungary. Now, let us turn to the third country of the region. There is a saying in Central Europe that Polish and Hungarian are as two cousins. I don't know why. Maybe we will hear the explanation during the Q&A session. But let us see how many of your companies are present in Poland and under what legal entity. We can see that around, 30-40% of the people present here have a separate branch. Quite a few operate in Poland under different legal entity. How many of you who are working in Poland implement diversity and inclusion strategy? Either you implement the global strategy or you have your own local strategy, and if so, whether the strategy includes LGBT measures. As we can see, most of the companies that operate in Poland do implement D&I strategy, the global one. The global is in effect. 4 companies have their local strategy, and 4 companies include LGBT measures. And our last question is regarding the LGBT ERG in Poland. How many of the companies that operate in Poland have LGBT ERG, either the regional one or a local one? Around 6 of you operating in Poland, 8 of you have a European regional LGBT ERG, 5 of you have ERG in Poland, and 3 of you represent companies that are thinking of establishing one in Poland. Now, our next speaker is Kajetan Stobiecki. He is representing the only Polish non-profit that works with LGBT equality in workplace. It was founded by a former Polish member of parliament, Anna Grodzka, who I believe is the only or was the only a member of transgender member of parliament in the region, if not in Europe. Kajetan, the floor is yours. Please let us know what is the current situation on Polish LGBT equality in workplace.
Thank you, Czesław. Good morning, or I would rather say good afternoon, everybody. This is Kajetan Stobicki speaking from Warsaw on behalf of LGBT Business Forum. We are the only Polish non-governmental organization focusing on workplace equality and inclusion of LGBT people. The foundation was founded in 2012, and what do we do? Firstly, we conduct our annual survey among LGBT employees. This year we are focusing on tourism. Last year it was insurance. We also organize our annual conference and gala, where we award the companies with our Rainbow Bee and Rainbow Wasp award for those companies who work hard or surprise us in positive or negative, as you can imagine with that WASP context. And our main field of interest is running our business platform. I'll be talking about at the very end. Okay, next slide, please. Let's take an overall look about on Poland and Polish context. As Czesław mentioned before, the situation in Poland is not so good as in the Czech Republic. As we have our new national conservative government, there is no hope for legal improvement in the following years. There are no measures regarding same-sex relationships. Couples like that are invisible for Polish law. And there is also, like in Hungary, the constitutional ban for introducing gay marriage. The trans-concerned regulations are really hard to get through and obsolete. But as we are in the EU, there is introduced anti-discrimination law in workplace. It is unlawful to discriminate and to fire anybody because of his or her sexual orientation. The society in Poland is quite conservative. The Catholic Church is really strong. Around 40 to 50% of Poles support any way of regulating the matter of same-sex couples. And the LGBT community in Poland is slowly growing. There are over 20 NGOs. We organize pride marches, campaigns in media, lobbying. We do lobbying, and we are slowly evolving and building structures. Next slide, please. Every data included here is based on our annual survey of 2015, and the results are that 29% of Polish LGBT employees know about any anti-discrimination policy in their workplace. Most of these policies do not include LGBT cases, and 46% did come out or was outed in workplace. This is more or less the same what we have with being outed in families, which is quite depressing, as we all know. The workplace should be a place where it is much easier to do so. But hopefully we can see that most of those who are outed are really happy with that, and those who are not suppose that they would work more productively once they come out of the closet. Next slide, please. How about the business involvement? Our journey is really at the very beginning. Polish pioneers have already created some good practices guides or implemented those from the West. Some of them support LGBT events like our Pride March in Warsaw, and some more of them have already created ERGs or started organizing Pride Month events or included the LGBT matters and during their diversity weeks or things like that. Some of these companies I was delighted to see on the participant list, like Oliver Wyman or Shell. And thank you for joining that webinar. Next slide, please. And why should you get involved in Poland? Our survey shows that most of the Polish LGBT community really do care about your involvement. They prefer to choose LGBT-friendly brands. They even declare that they would protest those not friendly. And Polish pink money spending power is estimated to be almost 35 billion euros. And of course, we do hope that the situation in Poland will change, and it will be once a really strong advantage of every company to be a pioneer in that matter. Next slide, please. And how you can get involved. Of course, the way I would strongly recommend is to join our business platform. We offer you workshops, consulting, auditing, and everything just tailor-made for your company. We know all of the Polish LGBT NGOs. We can help you get to the community, which might be quite hard for those who don't operate in Poland. We also offer regular meetings, seminars, and conferences. What can you do outside our platform is to support the Warsaw Pride or the Pride marches in other smaller cities. And of course, you can create an ERG and use our manuals we published last year. These are translations of British Stonewall manuals concerning straight lies, creating ERGs, and bullying in the workplace. Next slide, please. Thank you for your attention. If you are interested in joining the LGBT business platform or seeing other data from our survey or have any other questions you don't want or you cannot ask during our Q&A session, I strongly encourage you to contact us. Thank you for your attention again.
Now, thank you very much, Kajetan, for your entry. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now turning to the Q&A session. Unfortunately, I'm afraid we might have lost Pavlina. I can't see her on the call anymore, but as I am from the Czech Republic, I'll try to answer as many questions as I know. But to all our panelists, there is one question that repeated several times, and it's about the transgender people. The question is that many of you presented some data, the LGBT data on workplace equality, and however, if you could mention maybe data or examples of good practice from the region that are concerning particularly the transgender people in the workplace. Gergely, would you like to start with this question, maybe?
Yes, thanks. Well, on transgender topic, I think this is really an undiscussed question in the workplace in Hungary. So to be honest, I don't really know any practices regarding transgender people. I only know that in the legal terms in Hungary, they don't need to change their gender in a medical treatment in order to change your legal gender in your document. So you can do it without these surgeries. And I know that we have a social security system, and the social security insurance covers a certain percentage, I think, but it's around like 20% or even less of the medical surgeries. And my last information was that it's still treated as an illness. But the Transgender Association in Hungary got a promise from the Ministry of Healthcare that as soon as the World Health Organization will remove it from the list of the illnesses, then they will do it immediately as well. So, and as far as I know, it will happen soon.
Thank you. Kajetan, do you have anything to add from the Polish perspective?
Unfortunately, I only have some depressing data. Our survey shows that the biggest problem with coming out is with the transgender community. Most of them are not outed in their workplace, and they feel really bad about it, which is, I think, quite similar to their overall situation in Polish society. As we are at the very beginning of our way as the LGBT Business Forum Foundation, unfortunately, we have to focus on gays and lesbians.
Now, there are several questions to example of Gergely of GE. There was a question of what companies were starting your group that went to the Budapest Pride. Who were the founding members of this group?
Mm-hmm. I think the major idea was from two Hungarian local startups called eSpell and Prezi, and the third one was Google. These three.
Mm-hmm. Great. And you mentioned that there is more than 916 companies right now joining. So how does it work? You have a leader of this group that is networking with the companies, or could you give us a little bit more insight of how this network works?
Yes, yeah. So there is a management for this We Are Open initiative, and if a company has an interest, then you can reach out to them through their website, which is if you Google it, We Are Open Hungary, you will find the exact address because it's in Hungarian, called Nyitottak vagyunk which is a bit hard to write if you are not native Hungarian. But if you just Google it for We Are Open Hungary, then you will find their webpage. And then basically if you reach out, they will come back to you, and there are certain criteria you can or you should, or your company should fulfill. It's really about if you have a diversity and inclusion policies in place, but they started to be more broad. So now they are not only dealing with LGBT specific topics, but they extended with gender equality and disability-friendly workplace as well. So you will find all the details on their webpage. And I think there are like lots of companies, like I think mainly multinationals, so like IBM, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, they are all members of this We Are Open, and like a bunch of smaller and medium enterprises as well.
Mm-hmm. And the last short question is from Sandy. She's asking whether your video is available on YouTube.
On YouTube, I don't think so. Yeah, no, on YouTube, no.
Okay.
I think it was on probably another video site.
Okay. If you could share with us the website, then we will share it with all the participants so they can watch it. Shimon, Kajetan, there are a few questions regarding the Polish examples from Shimon. He's asking what Polish companies are LGBT pioneers in Poland.
I would say there are two types of them. Those focusing on internal issues and those being rather visible. Our main partners are Oliver Wyman, Shell, and Credit Suisse, and also Deutsche Bank. But on the Warsaw Pride, you will probably see other companies wanting to show off somehow, and there will be Google, Facebook, and Accenture probably.
Mm-hmm. And there is also a question from Shimon about what did you mean by the audit offered by LGBT Business Platform? Could you elaborate a little bit about this? What does it mean, audit of the offered by your foundation?
It means auditing your introduced anti-discrimination policies. I mean, whether they work, conducting some survey among managers and employees, and also making them more suitable for Polish conditions. I mean, many companies just introduce their Western anti-discrimination policies and expect them just to work properly in Polish context with no workshops and no action among employees and managers. So we can we offer checking that.
Great. There were a number of questions regarding the Prague Pride Business Forum. The Business Forum will take place on Thursday, August 11th in Hilton Hotel, and the organizer committee is just putting together a program which is going to be very insightful. The website that we shared with you was regarding the last year business forum, but in a matter of 2 weeks or 3 weeks there will be some information regarding the next year forum, and you will also have a chance to register for this forum in a matter of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now there is a question to all speakers from Angel. What would you recommend to other regions like Latin America that the companies can do in order to promote LGBT equality in the workplace? Gergely, I'll start with you maybe.
Okay, so I think first of all that please have a clear diversity and inclusion policy in place and make sure that your employees know about it. And secondly, please start an ERG if you can. So these employee resource groups are really, I think, has the power. Basically, I think these two as first steps.
Kajetan, do you have anything to add, maybe?
I'm not sure. Just maybe I should encourage every manager to be frank about it, because there is nothing worse than introducing any anti-discrimination policy than just faking it.
Great. Well, from point of view of Out and Equal, I would probably add a few other things. Especially in Latin America, we work together with organizations in Mexico, Colombia, or Brazil, organizations that actually closely work on issues of LGBT equality in the workplace. And I think that first thing you should do is to contact those organizations like CHAI in Brazil or LGBT Conflict in Mexico and Colombia and talk to them what they are doing and how you can join forces. The second thing that I would recommend is to come to Out and Equal Summit in Orlando, because this is a very revealing experience, and you can gain knowledge, but you can also meet your peers from other countries and talk to them what their companies are doing. And the third thing I would recommend is to talk to your managers to go through the trainings, basic trainings about LGBT issues. This is probably the steps that you can start. And Lukasz is asking, what can the corporate ERGs do in order to help local NGOs? Gergely, I'll start again with you, because you are a co-lead of ERG in Budapest. So it would be interesting to hear what your ERG is doing to help local NGOs.
Yeah, for example, you can organize, so first of all, reach out to them and ask that how can you help, because sometimes they have the most the best answers to these questions. And secondly, you can work together on to organizing different events, or your company can sponsor them or sponsor one of their events. Basically, I think these.
Thank you very much. Kajetan, do you have maybe something to add very shortly, because we are nearly at the end of our session?
Just contact them, and they would tell you what to do and what they need.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you to Pavlina, Gergely, and Kajetan for their insightful knowledge that they shared with us. Thank you to all of you who attended our session. Again, I would like to remind you that the session was recorded, so you will receive the recording, and please do complete the short survey at the end of our session. Tomorrow is Unconscious Bias Town Call. Please do join us, and do join us on June 29th on our global webinar on Brazil. We will be joined by experts from LGBT Forum, from JP Morgan, and from Dell, the local experts. Thank you for your attention, and ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget that there are millions of LGBT people around the world that are suffering, and we have a power to make their lives better. Good day and goodbye.